Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about Will Penny and Nik Poliwko's Tiki Surf Witches Want Blood. So as you might guess from both the title and the cover of this is a sort of Tiki culture horror comic book graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. It is very much in the sort of pulp schlock type genre, and it very much is sort of playing into the Tiki culture of the especially 30s through the 60s. We have surfing culture. We have actually, one of the things that is quite cool about it is, let me find a good one here, one that I can show you on the YouTube machine, because I'll tell you, this is about as clothed as any of the women in the thing get. But one of the things that they have that is quite cool is they have a series of Tiki cocktail recipes throughout, right? So they're very rum heavy, a lot of fruit juices, etc., etc. So that's really quite cool, right? Because if you have the various types of rum and other alcohols and fruit juices and whatnot, you can make these yourself, which is cool. That's a nice little fun sort of additional project or whatever you can do. And generally they sound quite delicious. I don't have that many types of rum usually, so basically in this story we have these two dudes, Marty and Dennis. So that's them, Marty and Dennis. This one's Marty. That one's Dennis. They have heard this rumor of the Isle of Diablo, which is sort of rumored to have these sort of black magic rituals and zombification and spooky. But it's also rumored to have really, really great surfing. So Marty convinces Dennis, who is less keen on this idea, to go to this island. We already know, because we have seen the opening bit, although it's not entirely clear whether that's objective reality or whether that's Marty describing to Dennis this island. But we already know that this is true, that there is this tribe of women there, topless women, throughout, like just literally they wear like sort of loincloth, long sort of flowing loincloth type garments, and that's pretty much it, except for Mama Kahuna, who also wears I think it's supposed to be a tiki mask, but it really looks more like a traditional West African mask. Anyway, so Marty and Dennis get to this island, and the first thing that they see is a whole bunch of shrunken heads on poles. The shrunken heads on poles, when their mouths are unsealed, tell them to beware, get off the island, etc., etc. Classic horror trope, right? Then these two sisters, Zora and Coco. These two sisters, Zora and Coco, they come upon Dennis and Marty, and they're like, hey, you guys aren't allowed to be here. But then Coco is like, they're kind of cute. Let's hang out with them. And Dennis, and basically the Isle of Diablo seems to be this sort of reclusive kind of Amazon-style group of women, right? The Amazons of Greco-Roman mythology, right? The sort of warrior women who lived in a society without men. This seems to be a society somewhat like that, except rather than being warriors, they use their magic primarily to make really good drinks and to party. So again, very much in sort of the vein of Tiki culture, right? Of like drinking cocktails, dancing to music, etc., and just sort of generally having a good, laid-back time. Marty and Dennis are sort of drawn into this. Dennis Marty and Coco pretty much immediately are like, hey man, you're pretty cool. I want to get to know you better, if you know what I'm saying. So they really basically just get together. Dennis and Zora are a little more like, ooh, this is, I don't know, because he's all like, you guys are doing magic on a weird island renowned for head shrinking and zombification. That's raising a few red flags about the long-term potential of our relationship. And Zora's like, we as a society really tend not to tolerate outsiders, and you are an outsider, so I'm concerned that you may be here to do us harm. So there's that, right? And then this spirit, like, I don't know, there's this whole bit with a spirit where like the spirits are supposed to like reveal to you what you truly want, and this spirit comes after Zora with Dennis's hat on. Dennis punches the spirit because he's basically like, hey, the lady said leave her alone, so there's the whole like gallantry gesture. And then Mama Kahuna, who I guess is sort of like second in command of this group, is basically like, hey, who fucked with our rituals? Don't punch our spirits in the face. Now we've got to execute you. And Zora's like, no, wait, he came to challenge you to sudden death surfing. So that's the plan, right? Basically, like, Dennis has to surf for his life. The problem is Mama Kahuna is going to use magic to try and defeat him. But while that contest is going on, Marty, who is sort of off in a hut with Coco, accidentally knocks over the Mama Kahuna voodoo doll, which knocks Mama Kahuna off her surfboard. So she loses, Dennis wins. Theoretically, Dennis and Marty are now allowed to live, but Diablo is angered, and so he demands a sacrifice, so the tribe is going to sacrifice Dennis and Marty, but then Coco and Zora are like, wait, let us do it. Aha, we tricked you. We're actually making a really awesome cocktail to slake Diablo's thirst. And Diablo's basically like, this is an amazing cocktail. Nobody has to die. Let's all party. So that's sort of the upshot of it. It's fun. I mean, there's not a massive amount to it, but it's a nice little sort of like Polynesian horror tiki culture excursion. The one thing is, like tiki culture more broadly, there is a kind of problematic Orientalism and some cultural homogenization, right? Because on the one hand, we've got, right, the Orientalist component of it largely deals with the sort of conception of Polynesian women, in this case, as being sex objects, being objects of desire, offering sort of a life of pleasure, etc., etc. And there's a sort of paradise component to that, right? You think about like stories of shipwrecked sailors or whatnot, or sailors who deserted in the various sort of Polynesian or Melanesian or whatever it is islands during the 18th century, because life on ships kind of sucked, and you got to an island where food is relatively abundant. You can sit around all day and not really do that much labor. It's a much better deal, right? Until a lot of them deserted. And so this idea of like a tropical paradise, an island paradise, is sort of rooted in the experience of European sailors and merchants, traders, etc., explorers, etc. At the same time, you have the sort of larger structure of Orientalism as theorized by somebody like Edward Said, which is sort of imagines non-European or non-white spaces as sort of spaces of mysticism, of magic, of both sexual availability and sexual predation, of sort of violence and barbarism and all of this stuff, right? And so you do have those elements in Tiki Surf Witch's Want Blood, right? The whole we have to sacrifice to Diablo. We shrink the heads of those who don't party sufficiently. We're all going around topless, etc., etc. All this stuff. You have those elements in there, these Orientalist elements. But another component of Orientalism often is the sort of imagined homogenization of a variety of different cultures. And to be clear, Tiki culture, as it developed in the West from the 30s through the 60s, etc., doesn't inherently have components of like sexuality and sexual exploitation. There's bits of it, but it's not really necessary, right? You think about like hula girls and jokes about lays and things like that, but you can also have Tiki culture that doesn't foreground those things. But a lot of Tiki culture homogenizes Polynesian cultures, Maori culture, Hawaiian culture, indigenous Hawaiian culture, with Caribbean cultures. And definitely in this, we're getting that, right? Because so you've got the Polynesian aspects. Tiki is a Polynesian thing. It's a Maori thing traditionally, right? The idea of Tiki as this sort of ancestor figure, I believe. So you've got those elements of it. The Polynesian elements are clearly there. Hawaiian culture, surfing culture, etc., etc. But then you've also got these very distinctly Caribbean elements. So a lot of the cocktails are rum-based cocktails, and many of them specifically require particular Caribbean-type rums. Demerara rum, for instance, is a Caribbean rum. There's some other specific ones that mention particular Montgay Black Barrel rum. That's, I want to say from Barbados, but I could be wrong about that. But I believe it's from a specific Caribbean island. There's some other ones, and I'm not seeing them as I'm just sort of skimming through this. Rum Agricole, I believe, is from Haiti, right? So you've got these specific Caribbean-origined alcohols. You combine that with zombification, which originates with Haitian voodoo. Voodoo dolls, of course, originate with Haitian voodoo, and neither of these are in Haitian voodoo what horror movies would have us believe, right? That they're misrepresented in horror movies to up the sort of scariness of them, but they each are distinctly Caribbean. They're not Polynesian at all. And so you've got these sort of elements, right, of the cultural blendings where it's island culture. And so it's mashed together, despite the fact that one island culture comes from the central and sort of South Pacific, and the other island culture comes from the Caribbean, right? But the fact that they're sort of mashed together and treated as though they are interconnected or interchangeable is an element of that Orientalism. And we have similar kinds of issues with Tiki culture more broadly, of the sort of a sort of pan-island aesthetic,